Alrighty. So we're gonna get started. Um, we're just gonna introduce ourselves. We're gonna just talk a little bit and then we have some time for questions. If you guys have any questions, thank you all for coming and welcome to our little first generation student panel. So I'm Jordan. I'm a senior here at Montclair State. My family is Puerto Rican and Jordanian. So my dad immigrated here from the Middle East and my mom was actually born here. Let me see. So sorry, I'm talking to our coordinator. And yeah, so that's me.
Alrighty, hello everybody, my name's Jada. I'm a junior here at Montclair State. I live in Barnegat, New Jersey, down south, like exit 67 on the Parkway, near Long Beach Island, if everybody knows where that is. My mom is Dutch American. She was born here, but my grandpa immigrated here. And my dad is primarily African American, but he's a mix of pretty much everything you can think of. I just want to point out that this is a completely safe space. We're open to any questions that you may have, and we were in your shoes once too. So don't be afraid to ask any questions and don't be embarrassed.
All right, well, just as Jada mentioned, yes, this is pretty much like an open conversation. Feel free to ask any questions that you guys may like, but a little bit about myself. Hello, my name is Kevin. I'm a sophomore. I'm from Willingboro, New Jersey. I was originally born in Passaic, so I kind of lived near Montclair, and now I kind of live about an hour and a half away. My mother immigrated here from Mexico when she was around the age of 20 or so, and my dad also around the same age. He immigrated here from Peru. So I and my dad's kind of a conversation that I had with him, he's kind of told me the experience of what it was like, moving here, trying to get that experience in, and all he kind of stated to me growing up was, I want you to have, a better life than I could, in a sense. I want you to make sure that you grow and do kind of better for yourself and then for your future children and so on and so forth. Besides that, I'm currently a sophomore here doing a double major in political science and jurisprudence. So everything regarding politics and laws, that's kind of what my focus is mainly. But yeah, honestly, as I mentioned, we're just kind of be talking about a little bit about everything, our experience and things like that. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask any of us. Stop us at any point in the time. We're more than welcome to answer those questions for you guys.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about what being a first generation is, or basically what it means to me personally. So for me, it's really a way that I can pave the way for everybody following in my footsteps. I know during the college search, me and my family didn't really know where to start because obviously no one's really done this before. So we kind of felt very lost, is a good way to put it. So the goal was to really do the best that you can. As cheesy as it sounds, your best is good enough. And as long as you work hard and persevere, you'll get to wherever you need to be. So for being a first generation, it means that you're brave, you're creating new paths for people who follow you, and that's the biggest thing for me.
That's amazing. So for me, being a first generation student, similar to Jada, came with a lot of that, the confusion, the questions, the hesitation. I was someone who knew I wanted to go to college, but because no one else in my family had done it before, I was so nervous. I didn't know if it was the right choice for me, and luckily it was. I'm doing great and I love it here. But to me, being a first generation student, where my dad came from, he didn't even make it through middle school. My mother graduated high school, started a semester of college, and ended up failing out. So for me, being a first generation student means not only honoring myself, but honoring my family, and kind of taking that time to live out the dreams that I have for myself, but also to live out the dreams that my parents had and weren't able to achieve.
I would say for me, in a sense of being a first generation student, my older sister and I I remember when she was in high school and doing all her college tours, my dad would tell us, he's like, I hope you're paying attention because we're not coming back. So I definitely got that experience. I would say learning from my older sister, learning from like her friends and then like people that she knew, and kind of just like the advice that my dad would always tell me. He was always kind of like my biggest supporter throughout the year, even after I kind of decided that I was going to go into college for political science. He kind of like, in a sense, he wanted me to go into like the engineering field like my sister, but he at the end he was able to just kind of fully support my decisions on that. And then looking into colleges, he made sure that like I was on top of my applications, making sure like I had everything that I needed to succeed in a sense. But I would say with that, I guess if it wasn't for the fact that I have an older sister and that she went through the same experience and same things of trials and tribulations that I had to, I honestly would have found that process more difficult in a sense. But so I would say, just kind of like listening, hearing from like other people, and taking in advice from many different perspectives was my biggest thing going into like finding a college that I wanted to go to, and then finding one that I would say best suited what I wanted out of college and like what I wanted to do in my like future career path.
Yeah, as Kevin was saying a little bit, the next thing I want to talk about is the college search and the college search in general, and any struggles that that the three of us have maybe gone through and overcome, and maybe some advice that we can give you guys. So I guess I'll start off. My college search may look a little bit different than everybody else's because as a high school athlete, I was looking to play basketball in college to try to see how far that could get me. So I was both looking for a college that made me feel comfortable, but also that had a really good basketball program. So the one thing that really stuck out about Montclair to me was the feeling that I had on campus. So I would just I want to really point out the importance of touring a campus, because as soon as I stepped on campus, I knew, I was like, okay, like I feel comfortable here. I feel safe here. And the biggest thing that my family and I were really looking for was the diversity in ethnicity, but also in experience in life, and other people's struggles. Because I feel like the more diversity you have, the more open people are, and the more understanding and the more helpful people are as well. So that was the biggest thing, is making sure that you feel comfortable on campus, which I feel incredibly comfortable here. I've met multiple people who are in the same boat as me, first gen wise, and also diversity wise, also looking for the same thing. So that was one of the biggest things that I loved about Montclair.
So my college search was a little unconventional in the sense of I really only applied to 2 colleges. I forgot to mention earlier, I'm a theater studies major. So I was mostly looking into like conservatories in the city, and I got into a few of them, but they were really expensive. So Montclair, I had been here, we offer something for high school juniors and seniors called the Hispanic College Institute. So I came to that, and that's kind of a opportunity where you can stay on campus, and then you get like matched with a peer mentor, and you learn everything about college, from how to apply for financial aid, what to bring to colleges. So I went through that, and that was a great help for me because I had no idea. I'm the oldest in my family, and I was the first one to do it. But having had an experience prior to actually searching for college, I already felt comfortable at Montclair, and I knew that my mentor and other people that I had met during that time would also be going here. So I found a lot of comfort in the familiarity of knowing the campus, knowing people already. And I think one thing that I would say to you guys, regardless of whether or not you come to Montclair, is to go where you feel comfortable. So often I feel there's this pressure to like go to like this school because they're offering they have like this great program, and of course that comes into play, but at the end of the day you have to think about the fact that you're going to be where you are for the next 4 years, and to just do your best to pick somewhere that you feel you're going to be more comfortable and going to be the happiest.
I would say, in a sense, like picking back off of what Jordan said in regarding finding, schools and finding something that's comfortable for you. I would say in my college search, I went to like a few different schools when my sister was applying. So I went to like Rutgers, Rowan. I went to the University of New Haven, which, I think it had a really beautiful campus. It was just a really long car ride. And I was very one to like get bored very easily in those car rides. So I like fell asleep halfway through. But and then like Seton Hall, for example, going into trying to do, like political science, you hear all like the big schools for that. So like Georgetown, anywhere near like the DC area would be a really big school for that. And going in, also Seton Hall had a really good program for their international relations and diplomacy. And at least off of what Jordan was saying, I would have had the opportunity to go to Seton Hall. They offered me, I would say, like around 20,000 a year to go to the school. But then looking at it, I realized that I would have had to pay like a lot more every year. And in a sense, like you would be like, okay, trying to go to a school, with like a name school, something that like people can be like, oh, you went to like this school for this major, or you went to that school for that major. And it does sound nice. Like I honestly, if I had I guess like a tad bit more money, I would have gone to Seton Hall. But then I realized that I would end up having to like pay this afterwards. And though it may sound nice, you come to the perspective as, like what if, things change, like you never necessarily know how like your future is going to be. And I was like, Seton Hall is a great school. I was like, don't get me wrong, I don't want to like sound like I'm trying to slander Seton Hall and things like that. I really did, love the campus. I loved the program that they had to offer. I realized that Montclair, in a sense, was, the place where I could grow as an individual. Like I could make a name for myself without having to necessarily, like worry about, trying to, compete over other people, because they're all trying to, at the end of the day, we're all trying to get into the same like end goal. But I realized that I wouldn't necessarily be okay with myself doing this. Like I feel like I'd just be in a constant state of pressure, trying to make sure I try to like one up somebody else, make sure I do good in order to do kind of be noticed and be seen. And kind of like touring around the campuses and things like that, going to the open house here at Montclair in November, right before the pandemic. I would also say that also kind of did shift my like views and everything else in regarding colleges and things like that. I noticed that Montclair was it was a really nice place. I was able to kind of like walk around, see that everything was relatively close, be able to see how open a lot of like professors, advisors are, other students as well, kind of tell me about their experience, and seeing that I had the opportunity to be able to talk to your professors, have them know who I am as a person. I get to know who they are as a person and things like that. It wouldn't be me sitting in like a giant class of like over 100 kids and my professor never knowing who I am in all my 4 years or so being at a school. And I realized that necessarily you make something out of like what you have opportunity wise. So I saw that, Montclair was my better option, not only like cost wise and things like that. I more saw it as I'd get more opportunity coming out of this than I would if I would have gone somewhere else. And that's kind of at the end of the day, that's how the case goes for like a lot of students. They'll see I can get more out of an opportunity if I go here than if I were to go somewhere else. And maybe like you see all your friends are like, oh, we're gonna go to this one school. And it'd be nice, like kind of moving on with, like your high school friends, being able to kind of spend more time with them. But I would say you'll end up like meeting a lot of new people. You end up meeting like different people with like different backgrounds, different experiences, like Jada was mentioning. You get to have that sense of community anywhere you go, honestly. And at the end of the day, as long as you're able to find that sense of community, that sense of people that you can kind of like call your friends, be like those people that like you can depend on while your time here, I would say that also does help as well.
Perfect. Really well said, actually. Um, so I want to know one of your most proudest moments that you've had at Montclair State. One of the things that's really stood out to you that you've been really proud of you personally, and your family's also been proud of you. So for example, mine would be, I've made the dean's list all of my semesters here at Montclair so far. Thank you, thank you. It's been really, really hard, but in my family, education is the end all be all. Knowledge is power. So it really makes me feel good that I know that I'm making them proud and honoring their wishes and mine, and for the future people who are going to follow my footsteps.
That's awesome. Congrats, Jada. I was like literally one semester away from that. So girl, you got this. That's awesome. I think my proudest moment, and I think a proud moment for my family. So my major offers a 4+1, and for those of you who don't know what a 4+1 is, it's a route to get your master's in 5 years instead of 6 years. So I wouldn't have to like graduate and then apply to come and get my master's. You can apply for this program where you get your master's in less time, and you only pay for 1 year of it. So for me, like one of my proudest moments was getting accepted into the master's program and like still applying to graduate school and finally getting into graduate school. Things. So yeah, I think for me and my family, that was a huge thing. Was not only am I graduating this semester, but I'm already started my master's, and I'll have my master's at the end of next year.
So I would say for me, like my proudest moment, at least being here as a student, was I know before coming in to my freshman year, we're kind of in the middle of a pandemic. I had like a virtual graduation. Everything was kind of like everything I had originally thought how my life was gonna be after college just kind of like went in a shot to like left field. So I was like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to be able to, manage this because this is now a brand new thing that everyone is going through. And in a sense, like the pandemic has affected everyone in every own certain way. I found, I guess, something that I could do was, having something like a job in a sense on campus. I ended up applying to become a student ambassador, and that is where I currently work till this day. I give tours of, Montclair State. I talk to prospective students, talk to, accepted students, and I tell them about, the experience I've had in Montclair. I kind of show them around all the academic buildings, the residence halls, and things like that. I am the one who like people would kind of go to if they have any questions about like where they need to go and things like that. I would say looking into especially like last semester in the fall of this year, one of my new coworkers, she walked up to me one day, was like, "Oh, I remember you gave me a tour once of, the campus. I was there with my mom." And she told me, she was like, "Oh wow, he spoke so really nicely, and that the way he portrayed, the campus and everything, it convinced me to apply here. It convinced me to, like put down my deposit. It convinced me to, realize that, Montclair State is the school I want to go to." And she said to me was like, after that tour, I told myself on the car ride home to my mom was like, I want to be a tour guide as well, because the way he just kind of, presented the school, presented himself, and was able to, like convince someone, like not knowing that, the words you say to someone can like convince someone to, possibly, apply to the school, convince them to go to the school in a sense. And she said, if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have considered, like applying to Montclair. I would have probably considered going somewhere else like closer to home. But she said, like the way you like presented yourself, the way you answered, any questions my mom had, it showed that there is something I can gain out of, being here at Montclair, having that experience, that ability to, to be yourself, grow as an individual, and, be able to also have an opportunity to, have like have a sort of employment here as well at the school. It's not necessarily just kind of just focusing on academics and then just like going back to your room or like commuting, things like that, and just kind of doing it as an everyday process. You have the ability, to like wind down, have fun, like meet new people and things like that. And I would say, honestly, that was probably one of the proudest moments I had because I didn't realize how much like I could actually, you know, touch and affect the lives of others. I just kind of like go about, give my campus tours. And I always told myself was if I could at least convince one person that Montclair is the school for them after giving them a tour, that is all I'm asking for. I'm not, like asking for like a whole lot. I just like I want to at least know that what I'm telling other people like resonates with them. Like they be able to kind of, sit down and be like, you know what, this is a school I want to go to. This is the place where I want to spend, my next 4 to 5 years being here, growing as like myself, being able to say, I did this myself. I was able to, become that individual person, become what I want to be in life. And I would say that would be my biggest thing, at least during my time here so far, being a student at Montclair.
That's awesome. Yeah. Piggybacking a little bit off of what Kevin mentioned before, I want to talk about any like clubs or organizations we've all been in Montclair State. And if anybody has dormed, we can talk about our dorming experience. And if you're commuters, you can also talk about that as well. So first of all, like some clubs and organizations, I played varsity basketball for Montclair State my freshman year before COVID hit. And obviously COVID ruined a lot of things for a lot of people. So that is no longer a part of my life. So now I play club basketball at the rec center. Love it there. It's an amazing experience. So if anybody has any questions about getting involved on campus athletically, or I also work at the rec center, it creates a really good sense of community. So if anybody has any questions about that, you can come to me for sure. I also am in the process of starting up the Justice Studies Club. I'm a Justice Studies major, if I didn't mention that already, with a boatload of minors and concentrations. But yeah, we're starting up that club, which is very, very exciting. I also dorm here, obviously, if you can't see the horrible lighting in my room. I live in the off-campus apartments right now. It's called The Village. And my first 2 years here, I lived in Blanton Hall. Overall, my experience has been great. Freshman year before COVID was a little bit different than it is now, in the best way possible. There was people everywhere and there was a whole bunch of events. And during the COVID year, my sophomore year, it was very, very different, but I could say that's an anomaly because things are starting to get back to normal now. I am a junior right now. So freshman year, I was on campus until March when COVID hit, and then we were all sent home. And then I came back and dormed my sophomore year during the pandemic. So I came back junior year and everything was pretty much open again. And I lived in off-campus apartments. The walk from the village where I live now to the campus is probably 15 minutes. But they do have a pretty good shuttle system that runs periodically that I take almost every day to go to class. It's a very safe area. Personally, that was one of the biggest things that drew me to Montclair as well, is that it's very well lit at night. And there's still a lot of people around, so I feel like I'm never really alone. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say.
So I'm very involved on campus. However, I'm involved in a different way. So I am in part of a club. I do go to MSU Players, which is a fun like theater club that we have on campus. So we put on like fun shows and we do cabarets. We also do Rocky Horror every year, which is a huge one. But I'm also a university fellow. So coming into Montclair, everyone has to take like a how to be a successful college student course. And I partner with the instructors of that. So I'm in that class, networking and helping our incoming class acclimate and just meet each other. And we go to fun events. Like Jada said, there's always something on campus. We have this app. I think they changed the name of it, so I'm not sure. I think it's still Engage. But if you go on to Engage, there are like hundreds of things happening. And if you just click on the day, there are usually at least like 10 to 12 different events happening throughout the day. There's always something to do. I commute and I have a pretty far commute. So when I come to campus, I normally stay on campus for the day. So finding something to do is super important for me as a commuter, because, well, there's only so much schoolwork that I can like sit and do at one time. It's nice to like take a break and find something, text my friends, hey, this is going on in the quad. Yesterday, like this week's spring week. So yesterday there was like a huge carnival, free ice cream. It's nice to be a commuter too, because I'm like, I feel like I can always find like free food on campus, which is super dope. And like they're always giving away free stuff. So there's like a lot of fun stuff to do. And yeah, I can't talk about dorming, but if you have any questions about commuting, what parking is like, the difference between being a commuter student and being a resident student, I think I'm your gal.
I would just like to quickly point out, I just barely missed the ice cream truck too. The second I walked out, they were starting to drive away. I
I
was
missed
like, oh
it.
no. I was like, I wanted ice cream so badly. I am a big fan of Mr. Softy. And honestly, any I will wait, especially during the summer months, the perfect time for Mr. Softy ice cream.
Yeah,
But
this morning they had brunch and that was yummy.
yes, I went to that. I definitely went to the brunch. I was like, I woke up and I was like, I'm kind of hungry. And I was like, I remember there was a brunch thing going on today. So I was
I was
like,
like,
I'm
I'm not
definitely gonna
cooking
go to
this
that.
morning.
No, I was just like, you know what, you might as well just get the brunch, call it a day, see, and then just go about your day from there. But as I kind of like earlier mentioned, yes, I do. I am a student ambassador. I work with undergrad admissions, giving tours around campus. Besides that, I'm also part of the Model UN Club here on campus, which is a brand new club that started not too long ago, actually. So I am currently a member of that. I was also planning on joining the club wrestling team. I played three sports in high school, so I did soccer, wrestling, and baseball. And I would say if it wasn't for my sister's friend convincing me to join the wrestling team my freshman year, I honestly would not have loved doing it. But honestly, after the 4 years of high school, I realized I was like, this is the sport I love doing. I learned so much from the sport alone, and I was like, I want to kind of continue doing this. I'm I'm not like, the most athletic person. I'm not going to be, a starter at all, but I just kind of wanted to keep doing something, doing the sport that I loved doing in high school. And the fact that there are so many, like club intramural, like sports teams that you can do here as well is honestly beneficial, because if you're interested in doing just kind of like anything, it's there's most likely be a club for you. So I would say that is that as well. Um, Besides that, I do, as I kind of like mentioned, I do live on campus. I live in Denalo Heights. It's just another like residence hall that we do have here. I live in a single, so I have my own like room to myself. And in a sense, it's slightly different than between like other of the residence halls, because being in a single, you have your own room to yourself. Your roommate will have his room to himself as well, and then you'll just kind of share like a sink and a bathroom. So that is one of like, the many styles of living that we do have here to offer in Montclair. So if you are, in a sense, interested in just like anything in general, I would say trying to find housing or trying to find what you like is more, it's definitely a preference. If you want to kind of have a room to yourself, if you very much kind of like to have a room for yourself, I would recommend like looking into, like the Heights. If you kind of want to, live with like other people, I would say they are definitely residence halls for you, depending on what you like. I'm not saying that it's necessarily something that you have to like pick and choose, but there are definitely those options that you do have as well. So yeah, so as like, Jada and then Jordan mentioned, if you have just any like general questions about like what it's like, like living on campus, commuting, things like that, you can definitely ask us. Like, feel free. We're gonna be like making sure we get everything that you need answered today on this webinar.
Alrighty, wonderful. So the next couple things I want to talk about is how university services have helped us kind of acclimate to being in college. and what were our experiences in getting the support that we needed on campus. So as a junior, almost my entire college experience has been the pandemic. At this point, it's been close to 2 years and I've only been here for 3. So a lot of my support has been over Zoom and over emails, which I'm a very in-person girl. All this technology stuff, I sound like I'm 50 years old, but I really don't know what's going on. So all of my professors specifically were so accommodating for me personally, helping me through emails, answering me within the same day and sometimes within the hour. And all the questions that I had were answered without judgment and without embarrassment. As silly as it sounds, there is literally no such thing as a stupid question. And everybody on campus, I feel like, follows that rule. I know also specifically that a lot of assignments get extended if you come to the professor and be honest and be like, hey, I have a lot of stuff going on mentally, and like even saying like, I'm really overwhelmed with schoolwork, like everything's going on. As long as you're upfront and honest with them and show them that you're actually putting in the work, then everybody was really accommodating for me personally.
Yeah, so for me, we have some great resources here on campus. For me, like, I'm not a strong writer, so we have a writing studio on campus. We have one specifically for freshmen and one for everyone else. So I've found that has been my saving grace, especially being in my first semester of grad school right now. Those papers are no joke. I remember they gave me my first 15-page assignment and I was like, I don't think I've ever written this much in my life. So that's been super, super helpful for me. We do have some like great systems of like support for, like, we have CAPS, which is great. That's our counseling and psychological services. And then we also have something called like mindful meditation, which I've gone to a few times, which is run by like our like student health offices. And honestly, I feel like you'll get an advisor. But I personally feel like my advisor has been like my biggest cheerleader and like my safety net when it comes to this whole experience. I came in undeclared and I changed my major. So for me, my advisor has been like the person that I go to with all of my questions. And I know like I actually work for her now. Like she's helped me sorry, she's helped me get jobs. She's employed me. She's been amazing. And I feel like all of our advisors, I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, really are here to help us and they only want to see us succeed. So they've been such a great support system.
Yeah, I would say that especially with at least in with my advisor, he's definitely like always been there. Like I always can always send him an email about like once or twice a month. You kind of just like let him know how I'm doing and things like that. And he was always there. He's like, oh, you should definitely take like, this class. Like he was like, he not necessarily, he's always trying to like make sure I do like well for myself. He's like, if you have like anything, just let me know. And he was the one who convinced me to end up doing the double major in political science and jurisprudence because he was like, hey, most of your classes will cover for this major because they'll both end up, being exactly the same. And he was like, I think you should definitely do it. He's like, if you don't want to, that's fine. Because like, I would definitely recommend doing this because if you think about it, you'll be getting 2 degrees at the same time. And so I kind of like thought about it for a little bit. And then I was like, you know what, this is definitely, like a really smart move. And then he said, with that, like, because I know you want to go into, working in possibly in government, things like that, like having also doing like a minor in global security diplomacy also will help you out a lot if you are interested in doing that. And definitely, if it wasn't for my advisor itself, I probably would have never thought of doing a double major in the first place. Because at that point, it does sound like a lot, like, oh my God, like doing a double major. It does sound overwhelming. But your advisor will be there every step of the way, making sure that like, everything is going okay, and that making sure that you are doing well for yourself in general.
Okay, perfect. So these are our final questions that we're going to talk about, and then we can open up the questions for anybody who would like to ask. So this one is in regards to our post-grad plans, and what we're really looking forward to, and if we have any plans for us, family-wise and also career-wise. So personally, I have absolutely no idea what I want to do after graduation, which is completely normal, is what people have been telling me, although I'm very stressed out about it. My major does require us to complete a internship before we graduate, which is one of the main reasons I actually chose Montclair, because I really think that this program sets me up for success for the future. So my first semester in senior year, I'm going to be doing my internship for the Justice Studies major. So my goal, if everything works out the way that it should, is to be able to be successful in that internship, and then maybe get an entry-level job and work my way up if I enjoy that internship, and if not, using the knowledge and stuff that I learned from that internship to apply to other jobs and stuff like that. Family-wise, I'm absolutely going back home after graduation. My family and I are very, very close. We've definitely relied on each other to help us through the pandemic and through my college experience. I have 2 younger siblings that are twins, and they're also doing their first year of college. So we're all we're missing each other very, very much. So we're very excited to go back. So as soon as I get home, I'm just gonna work my butt off. I work in a restaurant, just make as many tips as I can, stuff it away for later, and really just hope for the best.
So as I mentioned before, I'm getting my master's. So that's what I'm doing after graduation. I do have a few jobs lined up. So I'm going to be actually working for the university next year. So I'll be around for quite a while. And then hopefully I'll get a job in the city doing what I love, something in theater. So that'll be fun. My family's going to be moving away. So I'm going to be living on my own next year, which is super scary, but also super exciting. And it's a new experience that I'm excited to explore. That's what I'm doing.
So for me, at least, looking into after graduation, I kind of, in a sense, have my mindset either one of two paths. Either go to law school, after I graduate, after I get my master's, go to law school and pursue, a career in law, or hopefully if I could land a job in government, like working. I've always been big on trying to work in like the defense industry, national security and things like that. If I'm able to, land an opportunity for that, I would definitely consider, like working in government. Those are like usually one of the 2 options that I do have. In a sense, one thing I am definitely excited for is to definitely going home over the summer so I can go see my dog again, because I have not seen my dog in months, and and that is definitely one of the biggest things I am looking forward to, especially over the summer. I am going to be doing an internship at an engineering company that my sister works at. So I'll kind of be doing that. They do work a lot with like government contracts, different contract with like, the US Navy, the Department of Defense, and kind of getting that experience of what it's like working with like a company that does focus a lot on, like military contracts, government contracts, and things like that. I am, very excited for what everything has to everything that it has in store. And honestly, maybe if you were to ask me next year what I wanted to do after graduation, it might be totally different plans. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I guess that's what it is, like open to seeing what you're interested in, and maybe things do change, but that is kind of what I'm leaning towards for right now.
Okay, so at this time, we want to open for any question. And remember, no question is a stupid question. So please, please, please ask, because I'm sure we've all been through or thought the same thing at one point. So just, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself, whatever you feel comfortable with, and you can even put it in the chat too.
Hi, I have a few questions about the dorms and everything, just for freshmen and seeing if there's any tours for them as well.
I think, Kevin, you can probably answer that question a little bit more.
Okay, so as of like in a sense of looking at the where the freshmen will be living, I would say as of right now, our campus tours will look at one of the residence halls. You'll kind of just go in, see what the rooms look like, and it's a communal style uh residence hall. It'll be very similar to what our freshman only residence hall would look like. It is like kind of communal style. You'll have your singles and doubles in there. I would say you can definitely see if you want to kind of like look what it would be inside. I would say I would recommend getting a campus tour before the semester is over, at least for us. That would be your best bet, at least looking to see what the rooms look like inside, and then you can definitely ask any of the actual student ambassadors there any questions that you might have in regards to the rooms in itself. If you'd like, I can find you the link to what the residence halls look like in general. You can kind of see what all of them look like, give like a floor plan and then pictures of that as well. So if you'd like, I can also send you that link as well in the chat.
Yes, can you please send me that?
All right, perfect. While he's looking for that, I do want to mention that I think I said it before that I lived in Blanton Hall my first 2 years. As a freshman, I really liked living in Blanton Hall. Blanton Hall, it's set up that you have you and your roommate kind of over here, and then you share a bathroom, and then you have another 2 people here. So it's basically four people for one bathroom, and 2 people share each room. There are 5 floors in Blanton Hall. I lived on the 4th and 5th, my freshman and sophomore year. What I really liked about it was that that when it snowed and rained, there was like food inside, so like I didn't have to go outside and be cold and wet and gross, which I don't like. And like everyone really hung out downstairs too, so it was really a good way to create that community and that bond with people, because you see the same people pretty much every time that lives there, so you can start to be friends with them and really like promote yourself.
Okay.
Did that answer your question okay?
Yeah, just got just 2 more questions, and hopefully that will be it. Sorry about that. For jobs and stuff, because if I'm trying to apply for a job, like trying to work in the campus itself and everything, how would that turn out?
Jordan?
Yeah, so we have a great thing called Hire Red Hawk. So you can, it's through your student ID if you do decide to come to Montclair, and jobs on campus and off campus will post job listings to Hire Red Hawk. And if you create your account, you can automatically just send your resume and everything over. If you do your FAFSA and you qualify for federal work study, there are tons of work study positions on campus. I'm also a work study assistant. So right now I work in an office in the Department of Theater and Dance. So there are a ton of openings, student assistants, RAs, and building managers. There's a ton of jobs on campus.
So for me to be able to apply for the job, when I get accepted to Montclair and everything else and all that stuff, I could just immediately go straight applying through jobs in the campus itself, right?
Yeah, so you can go on to Hire Red Hawk, and anything that's open at that time will be listed there. We also do have a career service center, so if you have any issues finding something like right away, you can also go to them and they'll definitely be able to help you.
Okay, is there like a website as well?
Yes, I can find that link and look that up for you.
Thank you so much. One last question. This is about the summer bridge tour. I was wondering more about that one. I was getting a little confused on that. I already applied to it now, but I just need a little more understanding of how that works.
So the Summer Bridge program is something that's new and just started, I believe, last year at Montclair. So I don't know if Kevin and Jada have anything about it, but unfortunately, we don't know about it because it's not something that was here and still something that's fairly new. So I can also see if I can find some more information on that, and I can drop it in the chat.
Okay, thank you so much.
Alrighty, Jezebel, if that's how you say your name, I apologize if it's not. What was your question? If not, I can just go to the question I saw in the chat. Alrighty. I believe the question was pretty much how long it would take for us to kind of get used to college in general and how different is college from high school. So for me, I was incredibly homesick my freshman year. I went home almost every weekend. As I said before, my family and I were really close. And as much as I went to a public school, so as much, I feel like they prepared me for as much as possible. But the thing I will say is that the honors classes that I took in high school were the things that that made me feel the most prepared for college. So the AP classes in my high school were kind of a joke for whatever reason. So I had one teacher my senior year. The workload is kind of a lot. You definitely have to stay completely on track and on top of your assignments. So personally, what I do, I have a little sticky note that I keep on the front of my computer, and every Sunday I go through my assignments that I have due and I list them in numerical order for what's due first to last, and then I check it every morning just so I can stay on top of it. And basically, if you feel like you're falling behind in any way, just reach out, let someone know, and I promise someone will be there to help you.
I think we have time for one or two more questions if anyone has one.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Jezebel. I'm committed. And first of all, I just want to say thank you guys for taking your time to talk to us. It's very appreciated. As a first generation student, I saw the seminar and I was like, I need to go to it. I've been struggling with like the anxiety and doubt of the whole leaving family behind kind of situation, like having that pressure going to Montclair, even though it's not far from home at the same time, it still does feel like all that pressure of, are you really going to be able to do it? Like I hear my family, they're supporting of me, and they've always have been. Like, it's not a problem that I've had. Sometimes it can lead to like, oh, like they'll get used to the things that I do and they'll kind of feel like, well, they'll stop supporting me, and they're like, she's got it, she's got it on her own. And I feel like that's the pressure I'm going through right now, that it's like I feel alone and I feel like I don't really have guidance since I'm first generation. And I've kind of like spoke to my mom about it. She's like, no, like you do have guidance. And I'm like, I don't, not really, because I don't really have anyone around me who's been to college and has completed it. I am first generation. And I was just going to ask, how do you guys handle it, or handled that pressure of doubt and anxiety of like leaving family members behind and the whole like, oh, being alone in the process? Thank you.
Oh yeah, of course. So first of all, welcome to the family, of course. Were you planning on dorming?
Yes.
Okay, good. So as I mentioned before, very homesick and very close to my family. So I understand completely what you're saying. The biggest thing for me is staying in the most contact as you can with them as possible. I called my mom like probably twice a day, every single day, the minimum. And she didn't really mind. Also complete open lines of communication with them. I really tried to talk to my mom and really was very open with her with how I was feeling, with kind of the pressure, because personally I felt like I had the pressure of my entire family on my shoulders, and I felt like I had to be
Yeah, that's what it is.
trailblazer. Exactly. So first of all, you can do it. You're stronger than you think that you are, and for you to even make it this far is absolutely incredible. So one of the biggest things that I found the most helpful my freshman year was actually owning that I was a first generation, because sometimes I felt really embarrassed that my family wasn't able to make it through college. My mom also, like Jordan said, she failed out of her first semester of community college. So I actually said to a bunch of the people, new people that I was meeting, I was like, oh, I am first generation. And I think you'd be surprised with how many first generation students that you're going to meet once you actually do put yourself out there. So as scary as it sounds, you will find a community. I mean, obviously look at all of us, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are just like the people in your grade, the people who are looking to come to Montclair, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a multitude of people who are in your same boat, and it's just about finding those peers and banding together to become bigger and like better together, you know?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very important for me to have other people around me who are also first generation. And I do have a friend, and like having her, she's going to a different school, but having her doesn't make me feel alone, because it's like you said, we are able to do. And sometimes I forget that, because there's people around me who are like, oh, are you sure? Like, you sure you're really going to complete it? And then it's like, I've worked so hard to come to this point, and to just say like, no, I'm not going to do it, you know? But I'm always very grateful to have leaders like you and Kevin and Jordan who are here. So yeah, I'm, even though like a lot of people are here that are very silent, you know, we don't have our cameras on, we do appreciate we're here for a reason. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that. Like, we really look up to you guys, and we just looking for guidance. We're here and we're gonna do it. I think that's the best part, and to have support like you guys. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. And I don't know if this is if this is okay, but I'm going to say it anyway. I can drop my email in the chat, and if anybody has any questions that they maybe don't want to ask here on a more personal level, you can email me, and I'll feel free to email me, and I'll answer with complete honesty. And I can send you some of answer some of your questions, send you some information that I know, because again, knowledge is power, and I'm 100% willing to share with you what I know to try to make your experience here better and experience in life better. Anybody else have any questions? Jordan, Kevin, do you want to mention anything? Maybe some final closing remarks. If there's one more question, no worries.
Is it possible you like put your emails in the chat? So if I do have any future questions in the making. Oh, one last question. This is for I think for Kevin. Just figuring out for the dorm rooms for freshmen. Where's that category wise to? Like, where do we for freshmen, like born like halls, which hall and areas as well, like Russ Hall, the Village.
Okay, so for freshmen, you have the option in living in Bone Hall. That is our freshman only residence hall. With that, you do have the option of living in any of the on campus. So Bone, Blanton, Freeman Hall, Russ, and the Heights and Stone as well. Those are the options you do have of living on campus as a freshman. In order to live in the off campus housing that we do have, there is a credit limit to that. So when you have roughly around 30 credits, so once you are a sophomore, you have the option of living in Hawks Crossing, which is an off-campus apartment. But as a freshman, I would say, honestly, any of the aforementioned residence halls that I mentioned, those would be your option that you do have to live in, as a freshman and things like that. So if you want to like necessarily live in Bone Hall, have that freshman experience, live with other freshmen, you're more than welcome to. If you feel like, this isn't necessarily my thing, if you want to live in like a different residence hall, you're more than welcome to do that as well. You're not obligated to live in one residence hall because you are a certain grade level. You do have full autonomy over where you would like to live, where you would like to reside for the academic school year. So whatever you feel more comfortable in, I would recommend looking into that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
Alrighty, so that's all we have for you today. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to email any of us or anything, and we will be happy to answer your questions. And I just want to say, your voice is your biggest asset. So please, please, please use it. And if you need anything, we're all here for you. Thank you for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
good
all.
day.
And
you.
I don't want to sway everyone's decision, but yeah, definitely come to Montclair. But
Yep,
yes, no,
we're happy to have
regardless, right? If anyone wants to get a campus tour, just let me know. But no, regardless, at the end of the day, definitely pick where you would love to go to college. Pick where you feel safe. Where you feel like you will definitely grow as a person. I would say that is my best bet for people looking into college. And I would say find somewhere where you will feel great about yourself at the end of the day. You're like, this is where I want to be because I love being here. I love the community. I love everything about it. And maybe if that isn't necessarily Montclair is somewhere else, that's totally fine as well. At the end of the day, I just want you all to realize that college is where you feel most at home. It would be your second home in a sense, at least for the academic year, and everything that it entails. As long as it has everything that you want, everything that you'll need, and everything that you know that you will need to succeed in the future once you graduate, I would say that is the best option to have in a college in a sense.
He's absolutely right. But then again, yes, thank you so much for coming in. And again, if you have any questions, email us. And we wish you all the best in any of your journeys.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again. Really do appreciate this. Really do. Have a great day, you all.
You too.
And
Always.
you as
Bye-bye.
well.
Bye.